We will now call the Mr. Chair, I move to dispense with the roll call. Members present in today's hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. In today's meeting, we have the following members in attendance. Senior Deputy Speaker Aurelio Dong D. Gonzalez Jr. We also have the Vice Chairperson Johnny P. Pimentel, Congressman Ricardo S. Cruz Jr., Congressman Raul Daniel Manuel, Congressman Ramon Rodrigo Gutierrez, Congressman Agustina Dominic C. Pancho. We also have a Congresswoman Antonieta Udela, Congresswoman Margarita Ignacia Nograles, Congresswoman Franz L. Castro, Congresswoman Richelle Singson, and Congressman Joseph Stephen Carabas S. Patuano. Your honors.
Thank you very much, Committee Secretary. The committee has calendared today the continuing discussion on several measures, including House Resolution number 230, entitled the resolution condemning the fake news peddling and baseless red tagging of individuals, groups, and organizations by Sonshine Media Network International, thereby injuring their lives and democratic rights, and urging the National Telecommunications Commission to apprise the House of the status of complaints against SMNI pending before it, authored by the Honorable Representatives Franz Castro, Arlene Bosses, and Raul Daniel Manuel. House Resolution number 1428, entitled the resolution condemning the fake news peddling and baseless red tagging and grave threats against ACT Teachers Party List, Representative Franz Castro, by Rodrigo Duterte and Sonshine Media Network International, and urging MTC to investigate the incident in light of media and journalism standards and existing laws, authored by the Honorable Arlene Brosas, Raul Daniel Manuel, and Franz Castro. The privileged speech of the Representative David J. Suarez on November 28, 2023, regarding the immediate investigation of the fake news peddling of SMNI against House Speaker Martin Romualdez and House Bill number 9710, entitled an act revoking the legislative franchise granted to Swara Sug Media Corporation, operating under business name Sonshine Media Network International, repealing for the purpose Republic Act number 114422, entitled an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to Swara Sug Media Corporation under Republic Act 8122. For several months now, this committee has conducted its inquiry about Swara Sug Media Corporation and its operations, leading to discoveries about its violations of Section 10, 11, 12, and 4 of its franchise agreement. The committee is also aware that concurrent with its investigation is a parallel inquiry being conducted by the Senate, which has shielded other various serious allegations against SMNI, including sexual abuses, human trafficking, labor exploitation, and other physical abuses. May mga paratang na ang mga empleyado ng SMNI ay nagtatrabaho sa stasyon sa umaga pero pinagpalimos sa gabi. Meron testigo na nagsabi hindi siya binabayaran ng tamang sweldo ng SMNI at wala silang PhilHealth at SSS benefits. These are very grave allegations which have very much concern among the members of this committee and the Filipino people. The committee is also aware of the Department of Justice decision to charge Pastor Apollo Quibuloy with sexual abuse of a minor in violation of Republic Act number 7610 or the Anti-Child Abuse Law and qualified human trafficking and other acts of child abuse. Taken in totality, the members of this committee are very concerned about the findings made by the Senate and by the DOJ as they reveal heinous crimes committed by persons behind Swara Sug Corporation. Throughout these proceedings, we have consistently requested the presence of Swara Sug Corporation's current and past leadership, and to give them an opportunity to clarify and provide answers to the queries asked by the House members. We will once again give them that opportunity to air their side today. The Committee on Legislative Franchise, with its mandate, must ensure the privilege of the franchise given to those who have complied with our laws, and have worked for the good of the Filipino people. As always, it is common good that the committee continues to strive for in this process. Maraming salamat po. May I ask the committee secretary? Source persons po. Can you please acknowledge the resource persons present? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, and for the information of this body, we have the following resource persons in attendance. From the NTC, we have the Deputy Commissioner Alvin Blanco. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney Algin Lacanaria. From the MTRCB, we have Attorney Cesar Pareja. From KBP, we have Attorney Rudolph Hularbal. From the NTC COA, we have Mr. Job Aguirre and Ms. Mary Jane Sadang. From SMNI, we have Pastor Marlon Acobo, the Executive Pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. KOGC, right. You are the Executive Pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. Thank you. We also have the members of the board of SMNI, Ludovia Godoy, Ms. Cristina San Pedro, Ms. Loris Nepomuceno, Ms. Hannah Jane Sancho, and their legal counsel, Attorney Mark Tolentino and Attorney Rolex Suplico. We also have the executive staff of KOJC, Attorney Eunice Ambrosio, the president of SMNI, Dr. Marlon Rosete, and counsel of KOJC, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio. We also have a consultant of SMNI in the person of Mr. J. Sonsa. Your Honors.
The representative of Tingog Party List, the Honorable Jude Asidre. Welcome, sir, to the hearing. And of course, walking in is the hardworking and good-looking congressman of Quezon City, the Deputy Majority Leader, the Honorable Franz Pumaren. So now we proceed.
Mr. Chair,
The Honorable
Point of
Franz
inquiry.
Castro is recognized, ma'am.
if I can remember, Mr. Chair, we asked to summon or invite Pastor Quibuloy.
Look at it.
So what's the status of him?
Mr. Chair, I was going to raise that also.
The Honorable
Eh,
Pimentel.
During the last hearing, February 7, if you will recall, most especially those who were present during that hearing, this committee issued a subpoena to Pastor Quibuloy because of his non-appearance on the several invitations that we sent him. And I can see that again, Pastor Quibuloy is a no-show in this hearing. Now, it is very clear under the House rules, especially on rules of governing procedure on inquiries in aid of legislation. Section 11, the committee may punish any person for contempt by a majority of members present, specifically on Section A, refusal without legal excuse to obey summons, and Section E, acting in a disrespectful manner. In this case, although he is not present, but the fact that he has not been appearing in these hearings in this committee just shows that he has no respect for this committee. It just shows that he acts like God, he acts with impunity, he takes this hearing for granted. Ipinagwawalang balahala niya, importante ho siya dito. So in this case, Mr. Chair, kahit na mag-hearing pa tayo ng 20 beses, kahit na 20 beses natin imbitahin si Pastor Quibuloy, it is very clear that he has no intention whatsoever of appearing in this committee. Therefore, Mr. Chair, under House rules, it is our obligation to show these people who take this committee for granted the sanctions that could be meted under our House rules. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move to cite for contempt Pastor Quibuloy on the grounds which I have stated. So move, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion by the Honorable Pimentel.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, the Honorable
with the indulgence of the good Congressman Pimentel, with regards to this motion, I have nothing against it, but it's just proper, Mr. Chair, siguro na we might ask the representative of Quibuloy, then we will rule on that particular motion.
Okay, with the request of the Honorable Paduano, the Honorable Pimentel will defer and hold in abeyance.
I yield to the
Yes.
request.
And the Honorable Attorney Topacio, magandang hapon po sa inyo.
Magandang hapon po, Mr. Chair, Your Honors. May I be recognized, Your Honor?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, with respect to the motion and with all due respect, we believe we have provided legal justification for the non-presence of Pastor Apollo Quibuloy in our letter to the committee, Your Honor, wherein the gist of it states that based on the previous hearings of this honorable committee, we have an idea of the information being required, and we have stated in this letter, Your Honors, very respectfully, that Pastor Quibuloy for around 4 years now has had no hand whatsoever in the running of SMNI, whose franchise is under consideration, Your Honor. Instead, to show our good faith and our due respect to this honorable committee, and to show that we are not evading the subpoena, Your Honors, we have brought with us 3 persons who are in the best position, more than Pastor Quibuloy, and who have been the ones active since 2022 in the affairs of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, which are the current executive pastor of the KJOC and his top staff, Attorney Eunice Ambrosio and Maria Norfeli Marimon, Your Honors. So with respect to the kingdom, they are the ones who possess the necessary competence to answer whatever questions this honorable committee may throw at them, Your Honors.
Mr. Chair, we understand the explanation of Attorney Topacio, but the fact still remains that Pastor Quibuloy has not appeared in this committee. You are presenting actually 3 persons that you have just mentioned to explain whatever questions or whatever clarifications are needed. As you have stated, they are well versed with regards to the operations of Swara Sug. But the matter at hand, Mr. Chair, I believe, still remains is the non-appearance of Pastor Quibuloy. Of course, Mr. Chair, we will entertain or we will ask questions to your substitute resource persons. But Mr. Chair, I still insist my motion, my earlier motion, I again reiterate, I move to cite for contempt Pastor Quibuloy, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Pimentel. Attorney Topacio.
Your Honor, we will always submit to the discretion of the committee. With just the very respectful and gentle reminder, Your Honors, that in the very recent case of Ong versus Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, the Supreme Court has ruled that before any person is held in contempt of a house or any committee thereof, he must be given due process, meaning a chance to explain, Your Honor. We are just invoking this right on behalf of Pastor Quibuloy because our Constitution itself states that the rights of persons invited to congressional hearings should be respected, Your Honor. That is all that we ask, Your Honor. Nothing else.
Thank you, Attorney Topacio. Just for the information of everyone, Pastor Quibuloy has been invited as far back as December. Several invitations has been given to him, and he has not appeared, which prompted the Honorable Pimentel to he filed a motion for him to for us to subpoena Pastor Quibuloy because of his non-appearance in previous hearings. So I think as far as due process is concerned, we have complied with it. As a matter of fact, because of his absence, I'm so familiar already with Attorney Mark Tolentino. Okay? And I'm of course the idol of everyone, the guy that invented the rules of the House, the Honorable Rolex Suplico, who is also here, who I used to read in the newspapers when I was in elementary. Okay, and up to now, it's an honor to see him in our hearings. That's why ako po as far as pagiging due process, matter of fact po, marami pong mga katanungan, marami pong hindi nila masagot, at lagi po sabi hindi na kaya sagutin. No? And which really, I think, mahaba naman po yung proseso na binigay po namin para po sa kanyang pagpunta ko dito. At kami naman po ay kumbaga na-extend na ho namin. As a matter of fact, naubos na ho lahat ng mga pwedeng maitanong dahil naitanong sa dami pong hearings na hinandak na po ng committee, Attorney Topacio. And this can be, I think, Attorney Suplico would attest to this, no? Na talagang we were very patient at lahat po ng pamaraan ay binigay po namin sa kanila. So, maraming salamat, Attorney Topacio. Wala na po kayong i-manifest. May tanong lang po ko. Alam po, pwede po ba ako magtanong?
Of course, Your Honor, you're the chairman.
Siyempre. Kasi ho, pinadala ho namin yung subpoena February 20, no? At ito'y publicized naman. At bakit po sa March 11 lang po kayo nagpadala ng sulat? At nauna po ho ang media kasi tumatawag po sa akin ang media. At sabi ko sa kanila, hindi ko po pwede sagutin yan dahil wala po akong natatanggap na sulat. True enough, sinek ko yung records, natanggap lang ho namin yung sulat nyo kahapon, March 11. Tapos may amended letter at March 12 today, humarap po yung isang abogado ninyo. So, why did it take you so long to write us that letter?
Kasi po, hindi po ako involved, Mr. Chair, doon sa previous mga hearings. So, nireview ko pa po yung video ng mga hearings para mapagtanto ko po kung ano yung mga maaring itanong based on the trend. At yun nga po, coupled with the fact that Pastor Quibuloy has been out of the day-to-day or even the general operations of SMNI or Swara Sug, Your Honor, because he has decided to concentrate on purely spiritual matters, ay lumiham po kami. Yung unang liham po kasi, pasensya na po kayo, we meant no disrespect to the committee, Mr. Chair. Kanya lang, noong ibibigay na po namin dito, napansin po namin may typographical errors lang naman po, kaya ni-revise po namin.
Which was received today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Typographical errors lang po ang
So that's why
aming-
the first letter we received March 11, the second letter we received today
Opo,
at the day of the hearing.
opo, may,
Yes.
pero it's basically the same, Your Honor. We did not want to spring any surprise. It's just typographical errors, Your Honor.
Thank you very
We apologize because of the a tight schedule of this representation. We profoundly apologize to the committee and to the chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Before I continue, the chair will recognize the Deputy Speaker, the Honorable David JJ Suarez. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
The Honorable Franz Pumaren is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Address lang pong question kay Attorney Topacio. I'm quite baffled no, dahil he mentioned that kaya hindi pupunta dahil wala siya dun sa day-to-day activity, yung pagpapatakbo ng SMNI, hindi niya alam. In fact, there are 3 resource speakers that can answer that. My main question lang here, kung gano'n man pala, may invitation siya, bakit ayaw niyang pumunta? Then let him explain to us kung ano talaga ang role niya dun sa SMNI. And aside from that, probably there are still other questions that can be raised. Yun lang naman ang quite baffling on my part na bakit ayaw niyang pumunta. Na kung confident naman siya na he has no idea how yung SMNI operates day-to-day basis. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond, Mr. Chair? Actually po, at wag niyo na pong sisihin si Pastor, ako na pong sisihin niyo, Honorable Franz Pumaren, sapagkat ako po yung nagpayo sa kanya. While the details of the advice may be covered by lawyer-client privilege, ako po yung sabi kay Pastor na since ang nakikita ko po sa trend ay tungkol naman sa alleged violations ng prangkisa ng SMNI, ay since wala naman po kayong kinalaman at ang inyong titulo na honorary chairman ay purely honorific as the name suggests, sabi ko upang hindi naman paipakita naman natin na ginagalang po natin yung proseso ng kagalang-galang na committee ito, ay tayo na po magdala ng mga tao na maaaring makasagot dun sa mga yon. Ngayon po, I want to take this opportunity with the kind indulgence of my congressman in Parañaque, the chair. Kung mamarapating nyo lamang naman po, kami po ay magalang na humihiling na baka naman po mga kagalang-galang na kinatawan na bigyan po na naman kami. Kahit konting panahon lang po na magpaliwanag at baka naman po makausap po rin siya at baka naman po makita niya na baka naman pwede siyang dumating sa susunod. Konting pagkakataon lamang po. Rest assured that we will be prompt in our response, Mr. Chair and members of the Honorable Committee. In fact, I'm scheduled to meet with him tomorrow, Your Honors, if I may inform this Honorable Committee, and I will advise him accordingly. Honorable Pumaren, please.
Thank you, Attorney Topacio. Mr. Chairman, just for the record,
Yes.
nakailan invitation na ba tayo kay
Tatlo po.
Pastor? Tatlo.
Tatlong invitation na po tayo. Before we recognize the next interpreter, the chair recognizes the Honorable Arlene Brosas. Welcome, ma'am, to the committee hearing. And who else is here? The Honorable Inodi is here. Welcome to the hearing,
Mr.
sir.
Chair,
The Honorable Pimentel.
we are just prolonging this issue. We know very well that kahit na ano pang sabihin ni Attorney Topacio, he was hired by Pastor Quibuloy as a legal counsel. It's his job to delay this contempt. Alam naman natin, Attorney Topacio, kahit na sa'yo, naniniwala ba kayong sisipot si Pastor Quibuloy? these are just delaying tactics. Even though na mag-hearing na naman tayo next, iba na namang rason ng lila ibibigay. Mag-hearing na naman tayo ikapitong hearing, ibang rason na naman. When will this be concluded? As I've said, Mr. Chair, it is incumbent upon this committee. It is our obligation under the rules that we should cite him for contempt to compel him to appear in this committee, Mr. Chair. Again, on my on my third reiteration, Mr. Chair, my motion still stands.
Thank you.
Just a point of clarification on the statements made by Attorney Topacio. By the way, congratulations on your movie.
Thank you, sir.
You mentioned that you're off to see The Good Pastor tomorrow.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that confirms that he's still in the Philippines.
Yes, of course, Your Honor. He's not going anywhere, Your Honor.
O, kasi may mga balita na nag-ibang bansa na daw siya at
Ay, hindi po. Magpapakuha po ako ng litrato at ipa-viber ko po sa
Hindi.
mga members ng committee.
I trust you, Attorney.
Thank you po. I appreciate that, sir.
Yun lang, I just wanted to reiterate, Mr. Chair, you know, we've been having this hearing since December of last year. November of last year. So, long playing album na po ito kasi November, December, January, February, March, I think. This can already be part of the Guinness Book of World Records as one of the longest hearings. This just goes to show the leniency and the patience the Committee on Franchise has afforded to SMNI, to Swara Sug, when it comes to complying with requests that have been forwarded to you. So, on his proper time, Mr. Chair, I would second the motion of Congressman Pimentel.
Thank you, the Honorable
Mr.
Suarez.
Chair.
The Honorable Karaps Paduano, then the Honorable Aline,
Thank you, Mr.
and
Chairman.
the Honorable Franz Castro.
Anyway, Mr. Chairman, I will not anymore argue with Attorney Topacio with regards to the jurisprudence regards to Senate versus Song. But in the proper time, just in case we can talk about it. And well, in fact, pati na yung balag, pwede natin pag-usapan, no? Balag case. But anyway, Mr. Chairman, ganito lang po. Kasi the legal counsel of Pastor Quibuloy is asking for a reconsideration. Is that correct?
We are asking for time to explain, Your Honor, because as the rules state, the failure to appear must be without legal justification. So we are willing in whatever time allotted to us, Your Honors, so as to obviate any suspicion that this representation is delaying. Actually, ayoko nga pong ma-delay. May lakad po kami nakaproot ng misis ko next week eh. Pero as kung kinakailangan po ay isakripisyo po natin yon. Ngunit I also understand the misgivings of the Honorable Johnny Pimentel that indeed these hearings have been going on for quite some time. But ang akin lamang po, Your Honor, is perhaps the committee would rather err on the side of constitutional rights rather than expediency. Yun lang naman po ang aking humble appeal sa chair at saka sa mga miyembro ng committee ito. Salamat po.
Mr. Chairman, actually, question of the appeal of the lawyer. Pwede naman po, pero pwede naman po na lagyan natin ng collatilla that will cite Pastor Quibuloy in contempt. But it will be lifted depending on the cooperation of Pastor Quibuloy, because we have done that for the past several contempt orders. But still, Pastor Quibuloy will be cited in contempt in today's hearing.
We will always bow, as I said, Your Honor, to the discretion of the Honorable Committee, of course, subject to my humble reiteration of our appeal, Your Honor.
Topacio, the chair
Thank you, Your Honor.
recognizes. Yes, before I call the next interpreter, the chair recognizes the presence of Juan Carlos Arjo Ataide of the First District of Quezon City. Welcome. Kong Atayde, and our Deputy Speaker, Christine Singson Mihan of the 3rd District of Ilocos Sur. Welcome, ma'am, to this hearing. The Honorable Jude Asidres, the Honorable
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
France and
So,
Honorable Jude.
Hindi na po natin papakinggan yung yung alibay ni Attorney Topacio. Nasabi na po. Pero marami na pong pronouncement si Pastor Quibuloy in media na hindi talaga siya dadalo sa anumang mga hearings sa Kongreso. So narinig na po natin yun. Kaya tama po ang ating colleague na parang magde-delay na lang yung ginagawa. Tapos mahalaga po yung mga question kasi with the development ngayon, Mr. Chair, di ba? Yung pinapasa niya, yung stake niya sa KOJ kay dating Presidente Duterte. So kailangan nating malaman yun kasi may kinalaman sa ownership, which is our topic nun sa SMNI. Kaya kailangan niya talagang pumunta rito at hindi pwede yung sinasabing 3 na magsasalita for him. Kaya kailangan niya umapir dito, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable Jude Asidre of Tingog Party List.
Mr. Chair, I would tend to agree with Mr. Topacio if this were a Blue Ribbon Committee hearing. Unfortunately, this is a committee hearing that centers on the continuance of a privilege of a franchise given to SMNI, and the testimony of Pastor Apollo Quibuloy, given being part of the original franchise, is material to the discussion. And I think this is no longer a question of rights, Mr. Chair. This is a question of duty, that by accepting the granted privilege, SMNI is compelled to carry out. That includes Pastor Apollo Quibuloy being one of the grantees in the earlier franchises given to SMNI. And therefore, I will join the Honorable Suarez in seconding the motion of the Honorable Pimentel, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Attorney Topacio. We'll pray on that.
Levity aside, Your Honors, with all due respect to the good Congressman Asidre, the ruling of the Supreme Court applies to all hearings, either of the Senate or of the House of Representatives. Secondly, with respect to the point of the good Congresswoman Franz Castro, the same is well taken actually, Your Honors. As in fact, in the case of Senate versus Ermita, the Supreme Court said that the questions and the proposed legislation should be attached to the subpoena. The proposed legislation is already public, so that is out there, Your Honors. But perhaps, Representative Castro, if we could be furnished proposed questions, and if these questions cannot be answered by the 3 representatives here, and we are invoking this with all due respect, based on the doctrine of Senate versus Ermita, then we can determine, and then, well, Your Honors, if the legal justification provided by Pastor Quibuloy is not sufficient in the eyes of this committee, then, of course, it may proceed according to its rules. But in the meantime, again, we apologize for taxing the patience of the committee. We again humbly appeal for due process in this case, Your Honor.
Thank you very much,
Chairman.
the Honorable Karap.
Anyway, binuksan na rin yan ni Attorney Topacio. Anyway,
Yes, Your
iba
Honor.
kasing circumstances with regards to Senate and Ong. Kasi si Ong dumalo eh. He was not given due process. Etong case ni Pastor Quibuloy, hindi siya dumalo. He disrespect this committee. And yung question of legal excuse by attending this committee, okay, I will grant it to you, Attorney. I will grant it to you. But hindi ko sinasabi na tama ka. But we can also impose letter F, undue interference. We can impose undue interference, not letter A.
Well, Your Honor, as I said, we will always submit.
Kaya nga kasi you defended it with our colleague here.
Yes,
Ayaw
Your
nga pag-usapan dapat eh. Sabi ko, gusto ko pag-usapan natin sa gilid eh, pati yung balag. Kasi,
Opo.
kasi you invoke Ong, in which the circumstances is different. Because Ong attended the hearing. Magkaiba yun, attorney, di ba?
Yes, that's why I
That's why,
raised.
attorney,
Opo.
ako ayop, we will end this debate with regards to your appeal. Ako nga, sabi ko nga eh,
Opo.
pwede naman yung reconsideration eh.
Opo.
Contempt and lifting of the contempt, it all depends on the actions of Pastor Quibuloy. Diba? If he cooperates with this committee, then so good. We can lift that, that contempt. But if you will invoke those jurisprudence, wala tayong, yun na nga yung ong eh.
Yes, Your Honor.
Iba yung
That
interpretation
is why
sa akin.
As I said, Your Honor, we submit always to the discretion of the committee. And there is really no desire on the part of this representation to debate. We're just stating what we feel to be the rights of my client, as it is my duty and obligation as his lawyer, Your Honor. We have no quarrel with the committee. As I've said, the committee will do what it has to do under the rules. We just want to make this humble appeal, Your Honors. That is all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And Representative Paduano.
Yes, thank you
Mr.
very
Chair.
much. The Honorable JJ Suarez is recognized.
Attorney Tapasio, can I just ask,
Yes, Your Honor.
why does the good pastor refuse to come?
To be candid, Your Honor, to this committee, he is apprehensive that his rights may not be respected because of the frenzy surrounding the investigation, Your Honor. And besides, Your Honor, he said that if they ask me and I do not know, there are other people who know about the information, then it might be futile for me to appear before the committee.
I think that's the very problem, Attorney Tapasio. He's assuming something that has not yet happened. Throughout the whole series of hearings we've had, I think the committee has been handling themselves properly, legally, giving all the resource persons due process. So I don't think any rights would have been violated if he presented himself. Number two, to assume that he does not know the answers to the questions, when in fact he doesn't even know the questions yet, is false to hold on to, because I myself have questions to ask to the good pastor. And I believe the person that he has sent might not be of the position to answer my questions, because they were not present in the SEC documents. Their names were not present in the SEC documents that were submitted to the Committee on Franchise. So how can that obligation be passed on to them? So again, I'm asking, on numerous times that he has been invited, why does he not come?
If I may respond to that, Mr. Chair, may I respond, Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
please.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, Your Honor, that is why precisely we are asking for a general, not a detailed line of questioning, but just the general questions under Ermita, Your Honors. Number two, Your Honors, we agree with the committee, but Your Honors, please, with respect to the points raised, with all due respect, Pastor Marlon Acobo has been mentioned since 1922 in the submissions to the Securities and Exchange Commission, because in the 2022, Your Honors, because as far back as that time, he has been appointed as the new executive pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ with respect to the day-to-day affairs of recent vintage, Your Honor. With respect to the others, Your Honor, there are other officials of Swara Sug and SMNI who are here, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Attorney.
Yes, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Chair, yes, I think we're treading on very dangerous waters because this will be setting a precedent to future hearings that will happen in the House. If we allow this, therefore, anytime in the future when a resource person does not feel the need to present himself, magpapadala na lang ako ng tagapagsalita ko. I-submit nyo na lang muna yung mga tanong ninyo, i-review ko, tapos saka tayo bumalik sa usapan. That's a very dangerous precedent to set, Mr. Chair. Because once we allow that, therefore all committees will allow that. Therefore, all committees will allow resource persons not to present themselves. Therefore, all committees will allow advanced questions to be forwarded to resource persons before coming to the committees. And that destroys the very nature and essence of having committee hearings, where we have to find out and ferret the truth and the information that we need in order for us to come up with the proper decisions to make, Attorney Topacio.
Yes.
So that's just my
sorry.
point, Mr. Chair, no? So tungkol po doon sa sinabi ni Attorney Topacio.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
The Honorable Isidre.
Mr. Chair, I would like to inquire lang in what capacity is Attorney Topacio, with all due respect, Attorney Topacio is addressing the committee. Is he here as counsel to Pastor Apollo Quibuloy or counsel to the KOJ?
Attorney Topacio.
Yes, Honorable Isidre, I'm here as counsel for the Kingdom of Jesus Christ and also as a general counsel of Pastor Apollo Quibuloy, Your Honor. Thank you.
Can you explain when you said I am counsel for KOJC and I'm general counsel for, what is that?
Yes, I will explain, Your Honor.
Yeah, you use the word counsel for one and general counsel for the second, for Pastor Quibuloy.
Yes, I will explain, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
The Kingdom of Jesus Christ is a corporation sole under Section 107 of the revised Corporation Code.
Okay.
So, as a juridical entity, it is entitled to legal representation, which is this representation, Your Honor, in all of the legalities involving the Kingdom of Jesus Christ since not too long ago, Your Honor. Now, with respect to Pastor Quibuloy as an individual, I advise him on general facets of the law, but he has also other counsels with respect to other cases involving him. That is what this representation meant by general legal counsel, Your Honor.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
I made that inquiry, Mr. Chair, because I would like to ask if the rules of the committee allow for legal counsels to speak on behalf of the resource person, Mr. Chair.
That's a good question. May I ask
Chairman.
the COMSEC to please provide the rules? But
Chairman.
anyway, the Honorable Karaps is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, under our tradition, we allow if the chair, the committee allows. No, but well, in fact, as of now, we're discussing with regards to the inquiry in aid of legislation. Now, sabi ko, Attorney Topacio, we're so lenient because this is the first time that you attended this hearing and supposedly you should have taken your oath because speaking for on behalf of the invited resource person.
Yes, I will.
And well, in fact, again, if the chairman will not allow you to speak for on behalf of Pastor Quibuloy, you cannot speak. And you cannot, again, it's if you it's a debate. If you want again that due process of being here in this committee, sabi ko nga, and under our tradition, our internal rules, we allow lawyers to speak if the chair will allow you to speak.
I totally agree with you, Your Honor.
And second, sabi ko nga, napakalinyan pa nga namin because supposedly before speaking, you should have taken your oath.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Your Honor.
Thank you,
There is
Mr.
no
Chairman.
debate, Your Honor.
Just to clarify the query of
Yes.
our colleague.
I
Thank you.
totally agree. And I am very thankful for this committee for its leniency, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
So,
Mr. Chair,
before we proceed,
we have already discussed this thoroughly. Lumalayo na po tayo eh.
anyway,
Ang motion ko, iba na yung mga tanong, may legal counsel pa. Let us first act on my motion.
Yes.
We already almost 1 hour, but we have not yet acted on my motion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Pimentel. I just wanted to give everyone a chance to speak before a vote is taken on the motion of contempt. And we just would like to make it clear that, just to show you, attorney, as we have seen since November, this has always been the atmosphere. We gave everyone the chance to speak, especially on the side of KOGJC, Attorney Mark, Attorney Rolex was given the chance to speak. So kung airtime lang po ang pag-usapan, mas marami po kayo airtime kesa po, no? At kami po ay, kasi yun ho naging policy. We want to ferret out the truth. Ang problema, may mga tanong talaga na lagi pong sagot sa amin, hindi po kaya sagutin. Kaya po, nag-motion po si Congressman Pimentel. As a matter of fact, just to prove our point, it took me 3 weeks. We gave you 3 weeks for him to appear. We did give you 1 week. We did not give you 2 weeks. We gave you more than 3 weeks for him to appear, no? From the time that the last hearing, usually 1 week lang ho yan, pinapa-appear na po namin. Ito ho, 3 linggo ho ang binigay ng committee. And even up to now, you can see the ini-entertain po namin kayo, no? Na yun, na lang ho kayo nag-appear. Eh, nandito po at pinapakinggan ho namin yung sinasabi nyo.
Maraming
So,
salamat po.
as far as due process concerned, palagay ko nyo naman, eh, hindi nyo na ho pwedeng, we did not fall short as far as the due process clause is concerned. And on section 13, yes, we were allowing you to speak, and counsel is allowed under the rules as long as it's allowed by the committee. At maraming salamat at kayo na hong pangatlong, may tanong lang po pala ako. Kayo po
Yes,
pangatlong
siguro.
abogado, Attorney Rolex, Attorney Mark, kayo na po. Kayo po ba'y abogado lang? Hindi po kayo direktor ng KOJC?
Hindi po. Actually, I became the General Counsel, Your Honor, of Pastor Quibuloy back in 2021, if memory serves, Your Honor.
Okay.
So this is not my first time to lawyer for Pastor Quibuloy. And of course, again, Mr. Chair, we are grateful for the opportunity. That's why you still get my vote in 2025.
Oh, thank you very much, Attorney Topacio.
Mr. Chair.
The Honorable
Chair.
Gutierrez is recognized. Before we will have to go on a vote soon, no? I'll just ask
Yes.
Attorney Gutierrez, the proponent of the bill, no?
Yes,
Attorney
Mr. Chair, just to add to the point, no, just for the consideration of the body, because I agree with what Congressman Pimentel mentioned, that the contempt order that we are considering could be based on sole absence alone. However, I would just like to add for our consideration as a body that there are still material questions as to 2019, 2020, and 2021.
Correct.
Which I believe would warrant the attendance. Now, his choice not to attend on the presupposed trend that they already know what we would ask, I would have to share my skepticism po, no? Because precisely, as I mentioned, we still have material questions during the duration of his being executive pastor. So something lang po for the body to consider. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Arlene Process.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, isa po kasi ako sa mga nag-request, 'di ba? Na ano, so rejoinder lang po kay sa issue ng contempt. Mr. Chair, huwag tayo pumayag na by substitution. Hindi naman talaga natin ginagawa 'yan, Mr. Chair. It has not been our procedure ng mga nakaraan. Kaya gusto ko lang sabihin, Mr. Chair, no, na itong sulat na pinadala sa committee hinggil sa ating sabina, si Mr. Marlon Acobo, executive pastor daw ng Kingdom of Jesus Christ, ang siyang sasagot. Mr. Chair, nung nag-usap naman tayo last time dito, sinabi natin hindi talaga yon kakayanin sagutin ng mga representatives na pinadala. So, Mr. Chair, again, I will join our DS sa kanyang motion. And Mr. Chair, again, maraming salamat kay Honorable Johnny Pimentel for again motioning for the contempt of Pastor Apollo Quibuloy.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Arlene Brosas. The parliamentary status is that there is a motion by the Honorable Johnny Pimentel, duly seconded by the Honorable J.J. Suarez, the Honorable Judas Silre, the Honorable Franz Castro, and the Honorable Arlene Broses, and of course, our Deputy, Senior Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Don Gonzales. That being the case, there is a motion duly seconded. Any objections? The chair hearing no objections on a unanimous vote, the Honorable Pastor Quibuloy is cited for contempt. We now proceed. We now proceed to the interpretation. So that being done, we now proceed to the interpretation. Can we now discuss the Marvick? So we will now proceed to another subject matter. And this is the House Bill number
9710.
9710. Comsec, please read the bill. The title of the bill.
House Bill number 9710, introduced by Representative Ramon Rodrigo Gutierrez, titled An Act Revoking the Legislative Franchise Granted to Swara Sug Media Corporation, operating under the business name Sonshine Media Network International, repealing for the purpose Republic Act number 11422, entitled An Act Renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to Swara Sug Media Corporation under Republic Act number 8122, entitled An Act Granting the Swara Sug Media Corporation of the Philippines a franchise to construct, install, operate, and maintain for commercial purposes radio and television broadcasting station in the Philippines and for other purposes.
May we request the author, the Honorable Ramon Rodrigo Gutierrez, for House Bill number 9710. Yes.
Mr. Chair, although we've already that this representation already sponsored this bill, may likewise again move that my explanatory note be adopted as the sponsorship speech for this bill. Thank you, Chair.
We now proceed to the discussion. Any questions, Honorable Manuel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask a few questions, no, to our resource persons. Mr. Chair, tanong po sa KOJC. Dahil ngayon 'di ba merong executive pastor na siya din yung tinuturing na head ngayon ng Swara Sug. Am I correct, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, can I answer the question of the good Congressman, Mr. Chair? Maybe
Yes, I'm sorry. The Honorable Mark Tolentino.
No, I'm a lawyer, Mr. Chair. I'm not a
Yes.
congressman. Mr. Chair, the answer of that, Mr. Chair.
Welcome back to the committee, Attorney Tolentino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With respect to the question of the Honorable Manuel, Mr. Chair, the executive pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ is not part of the day-to-day operation of SMNI. But of course, with respect to Swara Sug Media Corporation, the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, we consider them as the investor. That's why the subscription of Swara Sug Media Corporation in 2019 started only as 50 million subscription. Now it's already 650 million, Mr. Chair. So if I may explain, Mr. Chair, that we furnish a copy of our position paper to all the members of the committee. Our position letter dated today, Mr. Chair, March 12, 2024, Mr. Chair. May I furnish this to the Honorable Committee, Mr. Chair? Yes.
Mark, kayo naman nandito naman kayo simula nung lahat ng hearing natin November.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Bakit naman po papadala nyo yung kopya nyo on the day of the hearing? Sa hapon pa. At taga po yung akin 12:30. Isa 30 minutos. Paano namin pag-aralan lahat yan?
Now, it is just our position, Mr. Chair. It refers only to our answer in our previous hearing, Mr. Chair. What we put that on writing, Mr. Chair. So we find all.
So you're not saying anything new in this letter. Nasabi nyo na po lahat. Sinulat
Yes, Mr. Chair.
sila.
Yes, yes. This is
Kasi
just
binabasa ko.
a reiteration of our position, Mr. Chair.
Yes. So this is what this letter contains. Yung tapos mayroon pang kasamang USB.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
From the
kasama
very
po
start,
USB.
Mr. Chair, since November last year, and this is our position.
So anyway, we will have to validate this against the records of the committee, okay? Kung talaga ito po yung mga sinabi, ito po talaga ang mga ginawa ninyo. The Honorable Manuel, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Chair, ulit clarify ko, ang executive pastor as corporation sole ay investor siya sa Swara Sug. Am I correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, Mr. Chair, can the attorney explain ano ang function ng isang corporation sole?
When you say corporation sole, I already explained that in our previous hearing, Mr. Chair. That a corporation sole, the head of the corporation sole, he is considered as a trustee of all the properties of the corporation. So today, the head of Kingdom of Jesus Christ is in the person of Marlon Jacobo. He is the trustee of all the properties, and he is considered as the head of the corporation. But he is not the owner of the executive pastor of Kingdom of Jesus Christ, but he is considered as a trustee. When I say trustee, pinagkatiwala sa kanya ang Kingdom of Jesus Christ. The real owner are the members of the religious organization.
Mr. Chair, ano-anong properties ang pinag-uusapan natin? Ano-anong properties ito ng KOJC na kung saan trustee ang executive pastor?
I am not the best person to answer that, Mr. Chair. I am just a lawyer or the legal counsel of SMNI. So I cannot answer that, Mr. Chair.
Then, Mr. Chair, we request the legal counsel of KOJC to answer.
May I respond, Mr. Chair? May I respectfully request that the question be repeated, Honorable Manuel?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, since nabanggit na ang executive pastor ay siya ang trustee ng lahat ng properties ng KOJC, I was asking ano-anong mga properties ang pinag-uusapan natin dito?
Mr. Congressman, marami po kasi eh. We will be happy to furnish the committee with a list of the properties, but offhand, I would say properties dedicated to the propagation of the faith. There are houses of worship, places of worship, residences of the workers for the church, and others of a similar nature, Honorable Manuel.
Mr. Chair, maliban sa executive pastor, meron bang iba pang trustee or may similar function sa pag-handle ng ganitong mga properties ng KOJC?
As a corporation sole po, yung executive pastor or elder or basically po, whoever heads the church is the sole trustee and administrator of the properties of the corporation sole, Mr. Congressman.
And sa ngayon, Mr. Chair, again, I clarify that would be Executive Pastor Marlon Rosete.
Yes po, Marlon Jacobo, si Dr. Marlon Rosete po is the president of SMNI, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Chair, thank you dun sa mga sagot. Pero Mr. Chair, ngayon dun po ako nalilito. Dahil recently lang ay na-announce po sa media na ang bagong property administrator ng KOJC Properties ay si former President Rodrigo Duterte. Pero Mr. Chair, ngayon we hear from the legal counsel of KOJC na ang may task to administer the properties would be the executive pastor. So Mr. Chair, ngayon there are conflicting accounts at I think this causes confusion dito sa ating committee dahil kung sa bahagi po nila hindi malinaw sino talaga yung nag-a-administer ng properties. Ang dating sa akin, Mr. Chair, parang placeholder lang yung mga taong ito. Yung pagkakaroon ng corporation sole, sino yung nakalagay dyan, it seems na hindi talaga sila yung nagmamanage ng mga properties na dahil yung KOJC ay yun din naman ay investor doon sa Swara Sug na siya ding nagmamanage ng SMNI. Kaya Mr. Chair, I think this opens more questions sa ating committee dahil I think wala namang recent issues na involved si executive pastor. Kung merong involved sa maraming issues ngayon, Mr. Chair, that would be Apollo Quibuloy. Pero bakit merong pag-transfer ng responsibility from the executive pastor as the property administrator to former President Rodrigo Duterte? Actually nakakalito, Mr. Chair, and I think this compels the committee to go beyond yung labels at kung sino lang yung mga taong nilalagay ng KOJC o ng Swara Sug sa kanilang mga official records na pinapasa nila maging sa Securities and Exchange Commission. Yun lang muna sa ngayon, Mr. Chair.
Very briefly, Mr.
Attorney
Chair.
Topacio.
Yes, very briefly, Mr. Chair. When we say administrator, Honorable Manuel, that is in the concept of trustee of the properties. The executive minister remains trustee. But however, under the general rules of administration in the civil code, or when read together with the provisions of the revised corporation code, of course, the executive minister or the elder or the archbishop, etc., of any religious organization cannot be expected to comply with the spiritual aspect of running a corporation sole, a religious corporation, and the day-to-day administration. And the revised corporation code itself, Honorable Manuel, states that there may be schemes in order to assist the trustee in administering. Therefore, the short answer is that the executive minister remains trustee, but in running the affairs of the
Point of order, Mr. Chair. Point of order. Mr. Chair, point of order. Yes, Mr. Chair, point of
There's a-
order. Yeah. Kasi kanina ba, Mr. Chair, we have resolved na siya na yung sasagot for Pastor Quibuloy. Kasi nag-explain na siya yung tungkol doon sa trust, yung pagte-turn over ni Pastor Quibuloy kay former President Duterte. At hindi pa siya, Mr. Chair, ang counsel ba pwedeng magsalita for Pastor Quibuloy? Hindi po na-resolve yun. Kasi kung
Yes.
ganyan po ang
Well,
mangyayari, Mr.
The
Chair.
chair allowed
Yeah.
already
So can we
Attorney
have
Topacio.
him,
yes.
take
So
take his oath?
may we ask Attorney, kayo lang po, Attorney Topacio, kayo lang po. Attorney Topacio lang po. Okay. Attorney Topacio, please raise your right hand. The ComSec, please administer the oath.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before these congressional hearings, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
And
Thank you,
another
Your-
question,
thank you,
Mr. Chair. Is his taking of oath as representative or general counsel of Quibuloy waive already the
No.
the client to answer questions
No,
here?
no, no.
Kasi
Ano
kung-
ano po tanong nyo?
So, ibig sabihin po ba yung pag-oath at pagte-testify po ni Attorney Topacio ay wini-waive na natin?
Yung ano po?
Yung pagpunta ni Quibuloy dito?
Hindi po. We've
Okay.
cited him
So-
in contempt and we will be asking for that he be
Okay, so gusto lang po nating malinaw yun, kasi ang tanong po kasi ni Honorable Manuel po ay yung tungkol dun sa pagte-turn over po.
yes,
Doon, okay.
he'll be requested, he'll be asked to appear
Okay.
by the committee.
So hindi
And a
po,
proper motion will be will be entertained
Later.
in a while. Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
so hindi po yung sagot ni ni Attorney Topacio yung sasagot doon sa
Opo.
mga tanong natin.
Because
for
marami
Kibuloy.
pong
Yeah, okay.
dapat sagutin si Pastor Quibuloy, as explained earlier. Now, hindi po lahat masal. Kundi nga ho nasagot na
Yes,
Attorney Rolex tsaka ni Attorney Mark yan.
Yan, and in a proper time, Mr. Chair, I will also move to invite then former President Duterte kasi siya yung in-involve as o pinasahan ng property.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, in proper time po. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so next, any other
May I
member?
proceed,
The
Mr.
chair,
Chair?
the chair will recognize the Honorable Jose S. Aquino II of the First District of Agusan del Norte, the Honorable Jonathan Clement Abalos II of For Peace. He's here. Oh, welcome. And the Honorable Antonio Ferrer of the Fourth District of Cavite. Just so that everyone know that I've already signed the attendance in this committee for the plenary. So it has been forwarded already to the majority floor leader. The Honorable Manuel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Short lang, Mr. Chair, given din I think many of our fellow members would also want to ask. Mr. Chair, kung i-replay po natin yung sagot kanina ng legal counsel, malinaw po yung naging tanong ko at yung sagot din po niya ay task ng executive pastor acting as corporation sole yung pag-administer ng mga properties ng KOJC. Pero ang nangyari, Mr. Chair, ngayon mula doon sa executive pastor na wala namang kinasasakontang issue ngayon, ay nalipat po yung task niya sa dating Pangulo. Kaya Mr. Chair, again, that brings more questions rather than answers sa komite.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, the
May I-
Honorable Manuel. Yes, anyway, is there another question?
May I make the clarification, Mr. Chair, about the question of
Maybe Attorney Topacio, can you because hindi po maybe can we also rise so that yes, Attorney Ambrosio.
Mr. Chairman, may I also respectfully request that Executive Pastor Marlon Acobo be likewise sworn in because
Please.
this is his first time also, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
Please raise your right. Please swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this congression that you feel is
Thank you very much. Okay, Attorney Ambrosio.
as to the clarification with regards to the question of Congressman Manuel. So the scope of the appointment of former President PRRD is only in case of incapacity, disability, retirement, and other inability of the executive pastor and the board of administrators. So this is the appointment was made by the current executive pastor and the board of administrators that in case something might happen, the former president PRRD will be able to manage the properties of the KOJC.
Attorney Ambrosio, this is contingent to
Upon-
if something happens
Yes.
to whom?
To the current executive pastor and to the board of administrators.
Who is the executive pastor?
Pastor Marlon Acobo.
So if something happens to Pastor Acobo,
Yes.
then President Duterte
May take over to manage
May.
the properties.
the
Will
pres-
take over.
will take over.
Yes.
Okay. Because doesn't Pastor Acobo, wala ba ho siya assistant na pwede yung mag-take over?
This is, Your Honor, this was a management prerogative. It was the discretion of the executive pastor and the board of administrators that we will entrust the management of the properties of KOJC to former President Rodrigo Duterte.
If anything happens when you say anything happens, physically may mangyayari po sa kanya?
This pertains to any inability, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Yes,
The Honorable
yes, I have question to Pastor Executive Mr. Acobo. Ilan taon na po kayo?
I'm 58, Your Honor.
Yeah, you look very fit. Si former president, ilang taon na po? More or less.
79, I think.
79. Kasi, Mr. Chairman, if I may, kasi meron po akong friend na, may edad na, 60 plus, nagkaanak, okay? So yung mga kumpare niyang kinuha, may age bracket siya, ka-age niya, kumuha siya ng mas bata. Ano bang ibig sabihin dito? Ibig sabihin dito, yung mas bata and healthy, that can take care of yung son. So yung sa akin, I'm just wondering lang, bakit mas may edad na yung can take over? Ano ba naging basis lang po natin dyan?
Your Honor, pwede bang magbisaya lang ko, no? Kasubuan ako ang sulti para ma-express na ako akong gustong isulti. Naman siguro tayo mga congressman din nga makasabot po sa akong isulti.
Dali lang po. We will need a di ko kayo marunong mag-Tagalog. Kasi kailangan natin interpreter ho niyan. Baka ikaw, attorney.
Medyo nakakaintindi naman ako kahit paano.
Okay.
Ang ibig niya sabihin, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
he is not well versed in Tagalog, so he will need somebody to interpret what he will be saying.
Okay. Who will
Mr. Chair, can I act as interpreter of Mr. Marlon Acobo?
Okay. Attorney Mark, you will interpret sentence by sentence.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
I can also interpret for him. Inaani manggod ang hemtang, Your Honor, no?
Ito ang sitwasyon, Your Honor.
Senator Congressman Kumaren. Nganong gipili namo si former President PRRD na
Bakit pinili,
mahimong administrator sa Kingdom Properties despite sa iyahang edad?
bakit pinili namin si
Ang
PRRD?
point nimo, Your Honor, is ang edad.
Patapusin mo ako. Bakit
Meron po kayo interpreter.
Okay.
Kaya kailangan
bakit pinili
mag-consult
namin
kayo.
si PRRD?
Pastor Acobo, please address your answer to the chair, not to the member of the committee. Sorry po,
Thank
sorry
you.
po. Thank you.
Bakit pinili namin si PRRD despite sa kanyang edad?
Tungod kay si former President Rodrigo Duterte, taas ang iyahang eksperyensya, lawyer siya, labaw sa tanan, suod siya nga higala sa Kingdom Ministry.
Si PRRD, taas yung kanyang experience, abogado po siya, then malapit na kaibigan siya sa ministry.
Muna ang reason, Your Honor.
Yun ang dahilan.
Thank you very much, Pastor and Attorney Mark. Maraming salamat. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
related lang po dun sa tanong.
Yes.
So is former President Duterte a member of the KOJC? At ano yung naging role niya po sa KOJC in the past and present?
Your Honor, dili siya member, pero ang iyahang stand sa Kingdom Ministry is more than a member. Tungod kay ang iyahang respeto sa ministry taas kayo. Sukad pa sa sinugdan.
Hindi siya member ng ministry, but yung kanyang respeto at stand sa ministry is more than a member.
Now, we will recognize the Honorable Paduano. Then we will now go into we will proceed with further interpretation. The Honorable Paduano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clear the previous motion and was approved with this committee with regards to the contempt order, Mr. Chairman. We should have a second motion. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I move that we direct the Sergeant at Arms to coordinate with all enforcement agency, particularly the PNP, to bring Pastor Quibuloy in the House premises. So, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion by the Honorable Caraps Paduano. Any second?
Second.
Seconded by the Honorable J.J. Suarez, Honorable Pimentel, and the Honorable Senior Deputy Speaker Don Gonzales. The chair in objection, the motion of the Honorable Paduano to ask the Sergeant of Arms to directing the Sergeant of Arms to bring Pastor Quibuloy to the House premises is hereby approved. We now proceed to the interpretation.
Just a point, just a follow-up.
The Honorable J.J. Suarez.
Insofar as the good attorney Topacio is law-abiding and has taken this oath as a lawyer, and insofar as you are going to see the good pastor tomorrow, maybe you can aid the Sergeant of Arms in the exercise of their duty. Kasi makikita naman kayo bukas, di ba?
Well, with all due respect, that would be a conflict, Your Honor. I hope you will respect the lawyer-client relationship.
Oh.
But I can advise him accordingly, Your Honor, in my capacity.
I was just, under the impression that, of course, you being a lawyer and this being a lawful committee hearing, and what we did was within the bounds of law, you might want to extend your assistance in the exercise of the duties of the committee.
Yeah, Your Honor, I believe that this committee or the House of Representatives is possessed of sufficient power to enforce its orders even without the assistance of this humble representation. But as a lawyer, of course, I will always advise my clients in accordance to my training in the law, Your Honor. That I can assure the Honorable Committee. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Ferdinand Topacio. Okay, any other question that any other
Mr.
member may
Chair.
have before we move for the maybe finally decide on this resolution? The Honorable Migs Ugrades is recognized. Attorney Migs.
Mr. Chair, just for the clarification of everyone, tama po ba na yung nakita po kasi natin sa news yung whole administrator. So right now, it's not in effect. Just to be clear for the body and the public that hindi pa administrator, Mr. Chair, yung pag-a-appoint po.
Yes. Expressed by Attorney Ambrosio, who was under oath, that he is not yet the administrator as we speak, and it is contingent to anything that might happen to Mr. Acobo.
Mr. Chair, if we could just have a copy of that also so that the committee will have a copy of whatever would happen since yung executive pastor naman nandito and there's an appointment pending. If we could have a copy of the document for the said appointment, Mr. Chair.
Attorney Ambrosio.
Your Honor, we will submit.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, to SEC lang for the clarification of this process. Ano po ba ang proseso ng pag-appoint ng administrator pagdating sa corporation sole, since it's a different kind of corporation, it's a special kind of corporation na ang executive pastor lang naman ang mag-a-administer ng mga properties and manage for on behalf of the members of the religious sect, Mr. Chair.
That's addressed to
The SEC.
SEC. You may reply.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. To address the question of Honorable Nograles, when an entity incorporates in the SEC as a corporation sole, in the articles of incorporation, they will already specify who is the executive pastor or the elder or the rabbi or the chief of that corporation sole. That's all.
Mr. Chair, with regard to appointing of an administrator, should the executive pastor be incapacitated, what is the process po, Mr. Chair?
Per our record, with regard to KOGC, on December 16, 2022,
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm just asking for a general process, not with relation to the KOGC, Mr. Chair.
a letter of appointment will be issued by the current executive pastor to his successor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to remind, since we're talking about the laws and the corporation code, given the gravity of what is happening with the media and everything, with regard to section 111 also of the revised corporation code, para lang umiwas po sa mga violations, Mr. Chair, in any encumbrance, selling, disposal of property by an administrator or executive pastor, kailangan po rin po ng court approval dito with regard to that. And I'm just more appealing na sana sumunod po ang KOJC, ang Swara Sug, or especially KOJC sa mga ganitong aspeto, so that we won't be looking into further violations, and should there be any change, again with the consent also of Congress. Yun lang po, Mr. Chair, just to raise it as a way of reminding lang po the corporations on their procedural aspects para wala na pong, iwas na po sa mga violations na pwedeng mangyari po, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Migs Nograles, SEC, please take note of the statement of the Honorable Migs Nograles. Thank you. Thank you. So any other member that would like to speak for or against this measure? You have now the Honorable Gutierrez.
Yes, Mr. Chair, sorry, before we proceed po, just a few questions. Like I mentioned, we had some material questions that were left unanswered in the previous deliberations, and we'd like to take a crack at the theory of the good attorney Topacio that they might be able to answer po. So with the indulgence of this committee, may I proceed with my interpellation of the executive pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, may I request that perhaps is the attorney Ambrosio capable of translating for Pastor Acobo? Yes. Okay, Mr. Chair. So that to keep it po within KOJC, while we no doubt appreciate the interpretation skills of the good attorney Tolentino, but we would like to have a separate po, para we're not confused where KOJC ends and where SMNI begins. So, Mr. Chair, may I ask the good Pastor Acobo, through the good attorney Ambrosio, in your GIS papers, may we begin? How long have you been with the KOJC?
Your Honor, nagsugod ko sa pakiguban kang pastor since 1985.
Your Honor, nagsimula po ako since 1985. Kipagsama kay pastor since 1985.
Mr. Chair, I noticed the good pastor does not need a translator to understand my question. But
nakasabot ko.
Okay.
Okay, Your Honor, pero
you understand. You
lang
cannot
akong
express.
ang akong gustong isulti.
You would prefer not to express in another language, or you are unable of expressing in another language?
Mas prefer ko nga musulti og Bisaya, Your Honor.
He prefers to answer in Cebuano or
It is a
Bisaya.
preference. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the record. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask the good pastor, so since 1985, but his appointment as executive pastor was on what date specifically?
Nagsugod ang ako ang pagkahimong executive pastor, Your Honor. Atong time nga gipil upan na nako ang mga papers para sa Securities Exchange and Commission.
Nagsimula akong maging executive pastor nung pinirmahan ko yung mga papers for the Securities and Exchange Commission.
That was December 19, 2022. O pagka sunod nga tuig, January 4, 2023, giaprobahan sa SEC ang pagkahimo na kong executive pastor.
It started in December 19, 2022, and on January 4, 2023, it was approved by SEC. Your Honor, may I make a clarification? So, what Pastor Marlon is pertaining to is the amended articles of incorporation, since corporation souls are not required to submit general information sheets.
Okay, so we're now referring to the KOJC, Mr. Chair. But for the appointment because, by the way, thank you, Pastor, for attending today. You know, we would have hoped that you were with us from the start. But we were under the impression, I believe it was one of the the representatives of SMNI, that Pastor Acobo took over in 2021. How can we...
2020.
2021 daw po yung
2022, Your Honor.
2022 nag-take
Yeah.
over. So the mentioned appointment papers by Attorney Tolentino was based on what? May we ask, Mr. Chair, the representative of SMNI?
Your statement, well, his statement was
Chair.
2021.
If I'm not mistaken, of course, I could be wrong.
have with me, Mr. Chair, the certificate of appointment of Brother Marlon B. Jacobo, signed by Pastor Apollo C. Quibuloy, dated December 19 of 2022.
Mr. Chair, may we ask the COMSEC? Yes. If I recall correctly, the previous hearings, it was alleged that it was sometime in 2021. May we check with the records of the, may we ask the committee to provide for the records of with the appointment papers? But probably after na lang po, no? Because there seems to be this was very distinct to me.
I think, Mr. Chair, I have to clarify. I was talking about SMNI, the participation of Pastor Apollo Quibuloy with respect to Swara Sug Media Corporation. Because Pastor Apollo Quibuloy was still a stockholder since in 2019, but in 2020 he is not anymore. In 2020, he's still is a stockholder of Swara Sug Media Corporation. In 2021, he's also a stockholder of Swara Sug Media Corporation. But in 2022, he already donated his share to Jesus Christ Workers Members Cooperative, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, sorry, just to
That's why, Mr.
clarify.
Chair, I submitted our position paper today, Mr. Chair, to give emphasis to our stand, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, we would have appreciated siguro po yung position paper weeks or days ago so that we can properly understand. The position paper submitted today and the hearing today, of course, we cannot consider whatever the contents are, but rest assured that we will be studying that after
Thank
today po. No? So, Mr. Chair, so to clarify lang po, no? So, according to Executive Pastor, the appointment in GIS papers for KOJC 2022 po. The appointment letter, can we have a reading again of the appointment, Mr. Chair?
Okay, Mr. Chair. The certificate of appointment of the Executive Pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, dated December 19, 2022 at KJC Compound, Field Japan, Friendship Highway, Sasa, Davao City, signed by Pastor Apollo C. Quibuloy to Brother Marlon B. Jacobo, Mr. Chair. Acobo.
For KOJC.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So we have to clear with our records for what stood out distinctly was the representation by representatives of SMNI that there was a transfer in 2021. Because I remember this particular, Mr. Chair, because we were discussing in GIS. Because
the GIS, Mr. Chair, refers to the Swara Sug Media
Yes,
Corporation,
for
not
Swara
to the
Sug.
Kingdom of Jesus Christ.
yes, Mr. Chair. So yun po, kasi what's particular to me, Mr. Chair, okay, first and foremost, we'd like to reiterate that the existence of KJC as sole, a corporation sole, is still under question as per the interpellation of the Honorable Nograles as affirmed by the SEC that there were questions as to the two-thirds voting. So we still have yet to receive a report from the SEC on that matter. But that's just to put it on record po, no, on question pa. But assuming that we will now proceed with the rules supposedly na ito ay corporation sole, Mr. Chair, our question with SMNI is that for September 2020, yun po yung submission ng GIS. And then April 2021, yung GIS, nandun pa rin po si Pastor Quibuloy. And it was both a stockholder and beneficial owner. I would assume that the beneficial ownership of Pastor Quibuloy does not come from his ownership of stocks, but of his influence and control of the corporation, as is per the rules of the SEC. But in the GIS of 2022 as of June submitted and 2023 as of May, he was no longer stockholder, neither was he beneficial owner, which would make sense for the appointment in December 2022. However, the GIS was submitted June 2022. So on the papers pa lang po ng GIS, wala na po si Pastor Quibuloy. But the appointment was made in December. Kaya how do we explain this incongruency, Mr. Chair.
Pwede ko mohatag og brief history nga nung nahimo kong executive pastor.
Can I give a brief history on how I became the executive pastor?
You allow that, pero kailangan mo masagot yung tanong, ha?
Oh,
Bakit ho, iba yung sa dokumento, iba yung kinikwento nyo na yun?
ganito po kasi inanim ni Your Honor. Ang plano ni pastor nga ibiyaan na niya ang iyang pagka-executive pastor.
Ang plano ni pastor na umalis na sa pagka-executive pastor,
Nag-start ito 2015 pa po.
Okay.
And then, the following year, 2014, tungod kay pagka 2015 na ami general meeting kauban sa tanang mga international o national leaders.
in 2015, we had a meeting with the leaders of KOJC.
Gi-announce na ni pastor na iya nang biyaan ang iyahang pagka-executive pastor.
Pastor Apollo already announced that he will leave his position as the executive pastor.
Ug iya na ning itugyan sa mga board of administrators.
And he will entrust this to the administrators.
Mr. Chair, very quickly.
2019, padayon sa, Your Honor, pwede kong padayon? Okay. 2019, giingnan ako ni pastor na ako sa succession plan sa Kingdom of Jesus Christ. 2019, naan ako sa succession plan na ako ang musunod sa iya.
In 2019, I was already in the succession plan.
Na-formalize ni Your Honor niadtong nipirma ko sa tanang mga legal documents para sa SEC December 19, 2022.
Intention pa rin 2016 kayo na. O bakit hindi ho kayo 2016 o sa 2019 binigyan ng kayo na sa mga dokumento? Bakit ho sa December sa 2023 pa pumasok po ang pangalan ninyo? 2020.
Your Honor, tungod kaya ng panahon na ako sa abroad, ang akong assignment nasa abroad. Na ako sa Middle East, na-assign o sa Tibok, Africa.
Okay.
Pandemic.
So, okay.
Tapos napag yung pandemic.
Opo. Klaro po tayo dyan. So, ang hindi pa rin ho natin nasagot, yung tanong ko ni bakit nagre-reflect pa rin sa SEC documents na yung pangalan po ni Pastor Quibuloy nung siya sabi nyo kayo na. Ngayon siya sabi nyo nasa abroad kayo, hindi pa formal.
Your Honor, maybe
Attorney.
ask the question to be repeated so that
Attorney,
it's clear in our part.
There's a inconsistency. I think the question, can you please just answer the question of the Honorable Gutierrez? Why does it reflect that it's still Pastor Quibuloy when he's now saying that it's not anymore Pastor Quibuloy?
Your Honor, if you are pertaining to the general information sheet of Swara Sug
Yes.
in 2022, it was filed on June 2022. Therefore, Pastor was still the executive pastor at that time. However, he is no longer a stockholder. He is no longer the stockholder of Swara Sug because he donated his shares to Jesus Christ Workers Members Cooperative.
Well,
On GIS for June 27, 2022. And the appointment of Pastor Acobo happened on December 19, 2022.
correct.
So-
But for the record purposes, there's no show of the transfer because the GIS still shows that this is a Pastor Quibuloy.
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, the amended articles was released or approved by SEC on January 4, 2023.
Correct. So that's what we have on record also. So it still doesn't answer why is it the name of Pastor Quibuloy still there when in SEC, it's so as far as we're concerned, for the entire year of January of 2022, it was Pastor Quibuloy.
For the entire year 2022, Your Honor, it was only on December 19 that the appointment of Pastor Apollo was provided or decided by the board.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a point of order. po, no?
Honorable
I don't know
Gutierrez.
if we have it in the rules. I'm sorry if I must write down at this point. No, Mr. Chair, the executive pastor was assigned abroad po, no? Perhaps we would appeal again that perhaps he would choose to express himself. I'm sure he's very capable in English. Because, Mr. Chair, for when the testimony, when the we invite our resource persons to ferret out the truth, as the SJJ said. When it is being courts through a colleague and an attorney at that, who has been also inputting her own answers in not as translation, nalilito po tayo kung which were the words of pastor and which are the words of the attorney. Mr. Chair, he did say it was only a preference. Perhaps he would consider expressing himself in a language understood by us all here.
Your Honor, no, gustuhon man ako, pero mas ma-express magud nako ang akong isulti kung akong gamito ng akong pinulungan. Ay hinaot nga
Mr. Chair, with the kind volunteerism of Congresswoman Garin, she has offered to translate po for us, no?
Attorney Mark, you might want to translate first.
Mr. Chair,
Because it was stated,
I
I don't think she was listening. Yeah, Attorney Mark, kayo muna.
Ay gustuhin man niya magsalita ng Tagalog but he cannot express na anong komportable siya niya.
So, Mr. Chair, whether or not we would accept, comfort or preference, luckily, the Honorable Garin has offered. This might be new for the committee
Thank you.
po, no?
Yes.
But if we would accept that as our procedure going on, no? Parang we can separate rin yung testimony ni Attorney Ambrosio.
Yes.
Kasi kanina po, may translation sana for Pastor Acobo, pero may input naman sa GIS si Attorney Ambrosio, just to separate the two.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the other members of the committee, the Honorable Jojo Lara, who's here. Welcome, sir, of the 3rd District of Cagayan, and of course, the Honorable Janet Garin, 1st District, Iloilo. Meron po kayong sabihin before the Honorable Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, and proceeding now back no, with that procedural question done. Yung tanong po natin dito is because there seems to be a disconnect between the GIS of the SMNI with the appointment of Executive Pastor Acobo and the internal workings of KOJC. Kasi po, okay, admittedly, let us say in 2019, there were informal plans to have Executive Pastor Acobo take over, and that this only took effect in December 2022. It does not explain for the change of the GIS in June 2022. Kasi po dito, natanggal na si Pastor Acobo, and still, another factor, we will ask, natanggal na po dito si Pastor Quibuloy, but still, Pastor Acobo was not inputted there. Kaya nga po yung tanong namin sa SEC, which they said wala naman pong beneficial ownership portion in the documents received by SEC. So that's another issue that we have po, no? Just to recall, para sa lahat natin, sa lahat sa atin dito, there is a difference in the GIS submitted before this committee and the GIS submitted before the SEC. So the SEC could not also clarify kung ano po yung beneficial ownership. So going back po, no? Though there were plans for Executive Pastor Acobo to take over in 2019 and this only took effect in December 2022, it does not explain kung bakit wala na po si Pastor Quibuloy in June of 2022, unless the GIS was already reflecting changes without the proper appointment papers. Mr. Chair, maybe ask the explanation from the good pastor.
actually kana nga issue, Your Honor. Naamang ko na sa, di ba, sa SMNI ang GIS. Kana nga panahon
siya pa ang executive pastor.
Okay, the Honorable Garin, may want to translate.
In English or Tagalog. During the time, he was still the executive director. He was still the
Executive
pastor.
Sa pag-submit, ma'am, Your Honor,
When it was submitted,
June, sa GIS, June 27, 2022, si Pastor Apollo Quibuloy, siya pa ang executive pastor.
so when it was submitted, June 27, 2022, Pastor Quibuloy was still the executive pastor.
Opo.
Mr. Chair, then why was he not beneficial owner in June 2022?
Nga nung wa man siya na beneficial owner sa 2022.
Yes, Attorney Ambrosio.
Okay, so Your Honor, Pastor Apollo was not included in the 2022 GIS of Swara Sug because he does not control the operations of Swara Sug, and at the same time, it was the period wherein KOJC, the executive pastor, would want not to involve itself in commercial transactions. So that's why during this period, all control was given to Swara Sug because they have their own board of directors. So that's the reason, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, of course, we'll have to accept that as the reasoning, but it is highly suspect because for the years 2022 and 2023, KJC still had 53.4% ownership, not including the indirect ownership they had through Phoebus, which had 46.2%. So if the reasoning is to divest, I think that would have done through the stockholders. Now, Mr. Chair, the question here, and if that were the case, is it not his being beneficial ownership of 2020 and 2021, in which he was still there, was because he was executive pastor? Therefore, it follows in 2022, when he was still executive pastor, he still should have been beneficial owner. And not only that, after 2022, Executive Pastor Acobo is nowhere to be found in the beneficial ownerships as executive pastor for 2022 nor 2023. So, Mr. Chair, this only supports what we have been inclined to believe, that there is confusion in the papers being submitted before this committee under Section 12 on reportorial requirements, made worse by the fact that the document submitted here is different from the document submitted with the SEC. So it brings to focus again, Mr. Chair, the issue of whether SMNI, this is no longer KOJC, SMNI is faithfully fulfilling its obligation and duties under the franchise of privilege granted to it by this body, by this August Hall. So, Mr. Chair, one question. We'll move on from the GIS portion now. I have a question on Section 4 and 7. Recently, we've come to the knowledge that one of your star talents, independent contractors, was found guilty of indirect contempt. Mr. Chair, may we find out from SMNI if there has been any action on their ethics board ba yun, or remedial board, or disciplinary board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask, what is the who is the talent? Is
Mr. Chair, si Miss Badoy.
Miss Badoy and Eric Celis, they have their program kasama Laban Kasama ang Bayan is no longer is suspended as of today, Mr. Chair.
As of today?
No, since February, Mr. Chair.
Since February, Mr. Chair. So, because
you can check that through our social media, Mr. Chair. We have no more Laban Kasama ang Bayan on in our social media, and including but of course there is Laban Kasama ang Bayan in rally in Liwasan ng Bonifacio.
Same name, no relation.
No relation.
No relation. It's a branding thing now,
Yes.
Mr. Chair. Okay. So, Mr. Chair, starting February, wala na po yung Laban Kasama ang Bayan.
Suspended.
Kahit sa social media.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Our independent contractors are in no way now working with SMNI.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yun lang, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that answer. Going back po, no? So, just to summarize, because I have now concluded my questioning here. For the consideration of this body, the violations that we have found are on Sections 4 on responsibility to the public and Section 7 for self-regulation in relation to the numerous allegations, indictments, or findings of fake news, red tagging. We're also citing Section 10 on the provisions for sale, lease, transfer of ownership. On Section 11 for dispersal of ownership requirement. Section 10 and Section 11 carry with them ipso facto provisions for their revocation. And Section 12, which was just highlighted today, all the more because we could not get the proper answer on the repertory requirement. So I submit to this body, Mr. Chair, and I request that we consider my bill that is pending before the body. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Gutierrez.
Can we recognize Mr. Chair?
The Honorable Mark Tolentino.
Attorney Mark Tolentino, Mr. Chair, all the questions of the good Congressman Gutierrez is already answered, Mr. Chair, in our position paper. Can I explain in details, Mr. Chair, by reading our position paper, Mr. Chair?
Attorney Mark, since you've stated earlier that that is just a summary of all previous statements that you have made, which is still before already with the committee, then we have that already on record.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So I don't think you still need more time to express what you have already stated in the previously. But just be rest assured that as far as the Honorable Gutierrez is concerned, it has been remained unanswered, and he's still in the state of confusion as far as your answers are concerned. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr.
Any other member? The Honorable Pacho, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, I'm just wondering, even surprised, kasi Pastor Acobo was appointed by Pastor Quibuloy as trustee. Mr. Executive Pastor. Di po ba nakapagtataka? He cannot express himself in English, in Tagalog. Pero siya po yung chosen one. Ano po very special characteristic o special kay Pastor Acobo?
Ma'am, it's a management prerogative na ni Pastor nga siya ang mupili kinsa ang gustong mupuli sa iya, whether makasulti og English o dili.
So it's Pastor Quibuloy's prerogative based on management skills, not dependent on the mastery or the art of speaking either in Tagalog or English.
Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am.
Proceed. Okay, so are there any other questions for or against this measure? The Honorable Franz
Sir Chair,
Castro.
yung tungkol lang po sa SMNI, no? So, iba po yung sa KOJC, no? Yung mga trustee doon. And of course, with the SMNI. So, gusto ko lang itanong, Mr. Chair, dahil ang I mean, yung stockholder na KOJC, tama ba? Stockholder ang KOJC sa SMNI. And KOJC, Mr. Chair, is a church, di ba? So, church siya. So, tanong ko lang, Mr. Chair, kung nagbabayad po ba ang SMNI ng tax since ang majority stockholder ay church. So, paano po ba yan? Siguro sa BIR, Mr. Chair. So, siguro masasagot po ni Attorney Mark Tolentino kung paano ba yung gano'n na merong component ng church as a stockholder ng SMNI, and then yung SMNI ay in a commercial business, di ba? O sa business siya ng broadcasting.
Mr. Chair, it is not the Kingdom of Jesus Christ who is the stockholder of Swara Sug Media Corporation, but it is the executive pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, the name above every name. So, under the latest 2022 GIS, Mr. Chair, and also 2023, with respect to the taxes, we complied all the BIR regulations, payment, and we can present that to this honorable body, our income tax return of Swara Sug Media Corporation, Mr. Chair. And it is open book. You can ask the BIR whether or not we complied all the tax requirement, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Chair. So ano rin po ba yung ano no, yung alba yung executive pastor as stockholder doon sa SMNI, Mr. Chair, yung benefits niya from that. So paano po ba yon as a um major stockholder po doon sa ano
Mr. Chair,
na
if I
executive
may.
pastor, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may, with due courtesy to the Honorable Franz Castro, just a quick interjection, Mr. Chair, if I may. Because SMNI is the business name, but the corporate name is actually Swara Sug. So maybe for reference, because it's on the records, if the Honorable Castro will be amenable, all her reference to Sonshine Media Network International earlier be changed to Swara Sug Media Network International.
Your Honor, may I answer for the question of Honorable Castro? So as to KOJC, aside from being a stockholder of Swara Sug, KOJC is also a block timer. So we broadcast spiritual programs through Swara Sug, and in case there will be income, dividends may be declared and may be distributed to KOJC as a stockholder. But as of record, there are no dividends declared since based on the decision of the board of Swara Sug.
So, Mr. Chair, linawin ko lang, so ibig sabihin, so walang kinikita dito yung KOJC doon sa SMNI.
As of the moment, Your Honor, KOJC has not received dividends from Swara Sug.
For Franz Castro. Any other question by any other member? If there's none, no other question, the Honorable Johnny Pimentel.
Mr. Chair, this is already the 5th hearing that we have conducted. And 6? Okay. So, 6 na hong hearing ang ginawa natin dito. We have already heard all sides pertaining to this subject matter. We have discussed thoroughly all the pertinent provisions of Republic Act 11422. We exhausted already all arguments that needed to be discussed. And Mr. Chair, of the 6 hearings that we have conducted, this committee, I believe, was able to establish violations of Swara Sug to their franchise. And may I repeat what has been stated by the author, Representative Gutierrez. First and foremost, we have seen or we have established that they were in violation of Section 4, responsibility to the public, which we have already thoroughly discussed, which I will not discuss anymore. Section 10, the sale, lease, transfer, grant of usurpac or assignment of franchise. We were able to establish that there was a change of ownership from Kingdom of Jesus Christ. In 2020, they reported in their GIS that KOGC owned 95% of Swara Sug. However, in 2022, as per their GIS, the shares of KOJC was diluted to 46% and it was transferred to Phoebus Global Holdings, I believe. So clearly, there was a transfer of ownership, and under Section 10, they should report this to Congress and, or rather, ask permission from Congress. And once the transfer is consummated, they should report it to Congress within 60 days, which they did not do. Now, under Section 11, we have also established that they were also in violation of this pertinent provision, dispersal of ownership. It is very clear that in the life of their franchise, they should offer to Filipino citizens at least 30% of its outstanding stock. However, for the past 29 years on which they have been operating, not a single stock has been offered to Filipino citizens. And lastly, Section 12, which is the reportorial requirement. So, Mr. Chair, klarong-klaro ho, although of course, the legal counsels of Swara Sug will oppose our findings. They have their own interpretation also of the law. But I believe that this committee has found sufficient grounds to revoke their franchise. On this note, Mr. Chair, this representation would like to move for the approval of House Bill number 9710, an act revoking the legislative franchise granted to Swara Sug Media Corporation. So move, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion. Approval of House Bill 9710. Any second?
Second the motion, Mr.
Duly
Chair.
seconded by the Honorable Pancho. Any objections? The chair in objections. House Bill number 9710 is approved as with no amendments. May I suspend the hearing to direct the committee secretary to prepare the committee report. Session suspended. Take your seats. You might want to go. The committee report. Shalom. Okay, session resumes.
Mr. Chair,
Pimentel.
I have in my possession the draft committee report on House Bill 9710. So again, on this note, Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the committee report. So move, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion. Duly seconded. The chair in objection. Committee report is. There's a second. Second by the Honorable Pancho. Second by the Honorable Ferrer and the Honorable Aquino.
Manuel.
The Honorable Manuel. The chair in objections. Committee report is adopted.
Mr. Chair.
I think the Honorable Tontin has something to say.
Hopefully, Mr. Chair, sana before you will make any voting, Mr. Chair, I'd like to request a time or chance to explain our side, Mr. Chair. And before you consider your voting, I'd like to request all the members to just read our position paper, Mr. Chair, and consider our position paper because in pursuant to the due process clause, Mr. Chair, give us chance to explain and consider also our position paper before making any voting, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you, the Honorable Tortino. The vote has already been.
I know, Mr. Chair, that's why it's
the vote
useless
has
for
already
me.
been casted.
That's
And
why it's
there's an approval. And we take note of your request, but I just like to inform you because of you submitted your position paper 30 minutes before this hearing.
That's why, Mr.
We
Chair.
had no time to distribute all of that to all the members. So after this hearing, we will be giving all members a copy of
But it will
the
become-
position paper that you wrote, which is basically a summary of everything that you said in the previous hearings as you manifested earlier.
Mr. Chair,
Kaya po nagsabing, lahat yun nasabi nyo na eh.
our position
Opo.
paper will become useless if you have no, you admit, Mr. Chair, that you have no more time to study and make a voting. That's why I'm asking, before you vote, Mr. Chair,
But
at
earlier,
least 1 week, Mr. Chair, to give all the members a chance to read our position paper, Mr.
Attorney,
Chair.
Mr. Chair,
no, Attorney, wait.
if I may.
Yes.
30 minutes before this hearing started. I mean, let's be also fair because there's no way for us to be able to distribute and for all members to study that. First of all, your position paper was just basically things that you already said in the past. So we've taken note of that. The COMSEC,
Our request, Mr. Chair, is based on the due process clause of the Philippine Constitution, and we believe the franchise of SMNI is still protected by the due process clause of the Philippine
definitely,
Constitution.
that's why that hearing, 6 hearings. We said 5. You corrected us earlier. You said it was 6 hearings, not only 5 hearings. Thank you for the correction. And I think that is already very clear as far as our wanting to give this process to observe due process in this particular hearing. Palagay ko naman po, November pa ho natin pinag-uusapan, Marso na po na yun, ang dami na po natin pagkakataon, i-submit po lahat yan. And it is sad to note that you submitted this document to us 30 minutes before this hearing,
Mr. Chair.
which we find truly unfair.
We submit
Thank
to
you.
the sound discretion of this honorable committee, but we still stand with our position, Mr. Chair.
Your stand is requested. Your stand is noted, and we request that the COMSEC be directed to submit and distribute all those documents which were submitted 30 minutes today, 30 minutes before this hearing. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, a very short
Yeah,
manifestation.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, Mr.
The
Chair.
Honorable Janet Karin.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, for the information of Attorney Mark Tolentino, I believe with the permission of the chair and the august body, the position report, the position paper can actually be submitted to all members of Congress. Anyway, after the committee report, this will still be tackled in the plenary. And for that reason, Mr. Chair, I believe there is still ample time for all members of Congress to review the position paper as submitted by the legal counsel of SMNI. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I believe it will be fair for everybody to pursue the line of discussion that the Honorable Chairman was earlier stating.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Karin. So again, I direct the committee secretary to please submit and furnish all members of this committee and of course our House Secretariat a copy of their position paper for distribution to all members. Maybe a hard copy and a soft copy should be given to them. Thank you. The Honorable Attorney Tomasio.
Mr. Chair, thank you again for this opportunity.
Yes, Attorney.
Mr. Chair, very briefly, while recognizing the powers of this committee to hold a person in contempt, may I make a final appeal, Mr. Chair, to defer the implementation of the contempt order until after I have advised my client. That is a very humble request from this representation. Just a few days, and maybe we can submit something to clarify our position. And then if it's still the pleasure of the body to continue with it, then we will abide by it, Your Honor. Just a deferment, not a revocation of the order of contempt, Your Honor. Just a few days, if this committee can find it in its hearts, Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Paduano.
And what do we expect in that 3 or 5 days? What do we expect? Because
I will, as I intimated to this honorable body, because I cannot lie to it, I'm under oath. I will be seeing my client tomorrow, and I will try to advise him with respect to the order, Your Honor. I will give it my best good faith effort, and I say this not only under my oath before this committee, but under my oath as a lawyer and as a member of the Philippine Bar. Thank you, Your Honor.
So the day after tomorrow, we will expect you and the Pastor Quibuloy to be present in
I
Congress.
will advise him.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that will be if you ask me about the consideration, that will be the requirements for us to differ.
Well, of course, I cannot, with respect to that, I cannot speak for the good pastor, but Your Honor, I will be seeing him and I will be advising him accordingly, Your Honors.
Attorney Topacio, let's
Yes.
make this clear.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we will 5 days. So
Yes, Your Honor.
5 days from now, if we do not hear from you, then we can now implement.
Yes, Your Honor. Whether whatever the result is, out of courtesy to the chairman,
Yes.
I will seek an audience with the honorable chairman to report to him, Your
Okay.
Honor, as
So,
a matter of courtesy.
So there's no, yes, thank you very much. Anyway, so there's no withdrawal, no deferment. All we're asking is the implementation. So kung pwede, we wait for 5 days, we hear from you. I think that's the request, ha? I think let's be clear as kung ano
Yes,
po
yes, Your Honor.
request.
Mr. Chair, to this
Okay.
representation,
Yes.
Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, it will be implemented on March 18, that is Monday.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the March 18 will be the final.
Mr.
We'll
Chair.
have to hear before March 18. The Honorable Pimentel.
This is only a food for thought for all of us. Although it's hypothetical, however, Attorney Topacio might be asking for a furlough, for a 5-day furlough, but we know very well that Pastor Quibuloy at this point in time is already a flight risk. So baka naman ang humihingi ni Pastor Quibuloy to give time so that Attorney Topacio humihingi ng palugit para makaalis na si Pastor Quibuloy out of the country. Hindi po ba there are already rumors? So it would be a dangerous precedent on our part. Yun lang, Mr. Chair. I think dapat pag-isipan natin to our colleagues, if you give 5 days, he can easily, we know that Pastor Quibuloy has a fleet of planes. Anytime pwede siyang umalis. Unless, of course, that we issue or we request a whole departure order from immigration, considering that we have already issued a contempt order and there is already a request for search warrant, or rather an arrest warrant from the Sergeant of Arms, and then there is a pending again subpoena or contempt from Senate. So dalawang chamber ito,
Your Honor,
hindi po natin maalis yung Attorney Topacio that at this point in time si Pastor Quibuloy nag-iisip na rin niya na tatakas. Hindi na nga nagpapikita. Even sa social media, he issues statement incognito. So, yun lang po ang dapat pag-isipan po natin, Mr. Chair.
Po hearing natin. Pwede po ba after your hearing tomorrow, can we hear from you?
Nasa Davao po ko. I'll be back on Thursday, Your Honor.
Yeah, but
Mr. Chair,
I can call Your Honor.
you can call us. You can call us when on Thursday.
Yes, Your Honor.
So today's Tuesday.
Yes, Your
You meet with him Wednesday. Thursday, you can.
Mr. Chair, but
At the latest Friday, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
yes, Attorney Topacio said earlier that he will be meeting with Pastor Quibuloy tomorrow. So why will we give him 5 days? Siguro pinagalan until tomorrow.
Okay, we'll give you up to Thursday.
Your
Fair
Honor, with respect to the apprehension that you will be pleading, there's already a lookout bulletin, Your Honor, issued, directed from the DOJ to the immigration.
Okay,
So,
that's why. And maybe we can also say that if he wanted to really leave, he would have left already.
yes, actually, Your Honor, I was about to say that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, could you give me at least until Friday?
Okay, we will give you the deadline with the permission of the movement and those that have seconded. Do you have any objections to giving him up to Friday? If there are none,